Hey, good morning, and welcome to the Driving To podcast, the podcast where we talk about what we are driving to in life, driving to success, driving to happiness, driving to fulfillment, or just driving to some relaxation that we all need at times. Today, I want to talk a little bit about leadership again. I read a speech the other day from a major in the Army, Maj C.A. Bach, and he was giving a speech, sort of a commencement speech to the officer at the officer training school in 1917 in Fort Sheridan, Wyoming. You can look it up on Google and find the speech, but it was a great speech on leadership. Now, he even says in his speech that the tips and the information and the guidelines he gave in the speech was for military leadership, not necessarily for business leadership or other types of leadership, but there's a lot that we can pull from his speech that applies to our business or my business. And one of the main things that I pulled from his speech, already knew, but it's always good to remind, is that the team takes on the personality of the leader. You know, you have the leader. If he is loud and profane, his team's going to be loud and profane. If he is a servant leader, his teams will be servant leaders and take care of each other. Every team takes on the personality of the leader, and it's good to be reminded of that. So as leaders, we have to make sure, what are we modeling for our team? How are we leading our team? Because they're going to give that right back to us. And if we're frustrated with the way our team's leading, should we put a mirror on ourselves and say, well, maybe I should be frustrated with how I'm leading? If we love how our team's leading, you know, maybe give yourself a pat on the back. No, you don't do that. But you can say, all right, you know, because it is a mirror. That your team is a mirror to your leadership style. So as you're developing as a leader, and I believe, you know, you hear the topic, they're born leaders. Or I even got in conversation the other day with a guy who said, you know, you either have it or you don't. You can't teach leadership. And I absolutely disagree with that. I think as any other skill that you try to develop in the world, you can develop leadership skills. You know, the Olympic athletes are born runners, but they had to develop the skill, develop that talent as they grew to become the world-class athletes that they became. You know, to be a world-class leader, you have to work on it. You have to study it. You have to practice it. But then you have to be able to adapt as you see. And if your team is not going in the proper direction, that's a reflection of your leadership. So study your own leadership style and adjust as necessary, as they say. So C.A. Bach, Maj C.A. Bach, B-A-C-H. Again, you can Google it. It's a great speech. It's 6 pages long, but it's an easy read, quick read. So I highly suggest reading it, especially if you want to work on your leadership skills. Again, you know, what they call continuing education, you know, and leadership is a continuing education thing. So that's what we're talking about today, driving to leadership and making sure that you know that your team emulates your leadership style. So thank you for listening today. Whatever you're driving to, drive safe, and we will see you next time.